Once Upon a Time in the West is a 1968 spaghetti western. It is directed by Sergio Leone and it stars Henry Fonda, Charles Bronson, Claudia Cardinale and Jason Robards. And Once Upon a Time in the West, I'm reviewing this because I just talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I was thinking, damn, it's been a while since I rewatched one of those Sergio Leone films. And Sergio Leone is probably among my favorite directors, top 20 easily. He has made very few films, I think 7, maximum 8, but I think it's 7 films in his entire career, which spans 3 or 4 decades. And he has made some true masterpieces of cinema. Especially you've got The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, you got Once Upon a Time in the West, and his last film, Once Upon a Time in America. Which I'm gonna talk about later maybe, who knows. But Once Upon a Time in the West is kind of the ultimate spaghetti western. They do not get better than this. Even though I prefer Good, the Bad and the Ugly in terms of pacing, in terms of story, in terms of character, this is a masterpiece. A straight up masterpiece of the genre. And the main reason why I will call it a masterpiece is because, you know, so many films have like okay-ish scenes, but then they have 1 or 2 great scenes, and you're like, holy shit. Now that's a great film. Well, Once Upon a Time in the West, it has 2 of the best scenes possible in the very beginning. You have the introduction of Charles Bronson and the introduction of Henry Fonda, and they're made in truly spectacular fashion. The opening especially with Charles Bronson, that is tension building 101. It is downright mesmerizing how Leone directs it. It is completely driven by sound, with these weird looking guys armed to their teeth, idling around this empty train station, and you hear all the different sounds of the wind, of water dripping on their clothes, on their hats. It's incredible. For 1968, that was the pinnacle of detail in sound design. And then once you see Charles Bronson, the beauty of Sergio Leone in his films is that you just have to look at a character. You understand their history, you understand who they are, and that's all you need to know. And Charles Bronson is badass in this film. This is still my favorite performance of his. Very stoic, very quiet, and yeah, his harmonica playing is fake as fuck, but it just works. And then you get the introduction of Henry Fonda. And Henry Fonda, in case you don't know, maybe you don't really know who Henry Fonda is, he was a very critically acclaimed, much beloved actor in the 40s, 50s, 60s. And he's also the father of some Fonda kids that you're more familiar with, like Jane Fonda. But Henry Fonda in this film, this was his first, maybe even his last, portrayal of a villain. He was the hero, always. If you see in 12 Angry Men, he is the one angry man, first angry man who says, no, that kid may be innocent. And in this film, he's just a straight up bad guy. And the introduction again is just incredible, where he kills an entire family with his posse, including a young child. It tells you everything. It tells you everything. And those are just the 2 opening scenes of the film. And they have some of the best possible score by Ennio Morricone. And Morricone has made hundreds of fantastic musical pieces. But his work for Leone remains unparalleled in my opinion. It's incredible. And from the main theme, from Addio a Cheyenne to Man with the Harmonica, there are so many great tracks in this. But they build a sense of epicness, of big scope that is permeated in the entire film. And just like many other westerns of the time, this is very much about the changing of times, of outlaws going away, etc., etc. But Leone is very much interested in a mythical form of the West. If you've seen some interviews about him, with him, he was very much a young Italian child who read a lot of Western stories, who had a lot of historical books, and he has based all those stories that he's made into films on those books that he read, on those myths, on those legends, and they are incredible. And the story of Once Upon a Time in the West might be a little bit overlong, undoubtedly so, and I'd say it is more driven by sequences than an actual narrative, because the narrative sure is there, but this is set piece after set piece after set piece that makes for a really, really good time, a really great film to watch. And the interactions between the characters, especially once you have harmonica with Cheyenne, and when they interact with the woman, it's fun. It's fun, it gets very tense, it gets masterful, and it all culminates into an ending that is downright brilliant. And yeah, this is one of my favorite epic movies, thanks also to the big cinematography with the extreme close-ups and the wide shots and the long takes and everything. And I would not call this my favorite Leone, as I've said. I do prefer both Once Upon a Time in America and The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. But I have to say this is a pretty tight film, it's hell entertaining, and if you've never seen this, it's a true must-watch of spaghetti western goodness. But still, guys, have you watched Once Upon a Time in the West? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.